Hi, Gene here with my thoughts for today, and my thoughts for today are going to be particularly happy thoughts because I will be sharing and commenting on a particularly happy story. For me anyways, and I have to believe for many, if not most, if not all of you. Well, except that, the liberals. Everybody's welcome on this channel. If you're a liberal, you're not going to like this story. But do you remember a certain trial, Judge Engeron and Attorney General of New York, Letitia James? Now, Letitia James accused Trump of mortgage fraud. Essentially, she accused him of overvaluing Mar-a-Lago in order to get favorable terms on a loan. Even though there was no victim, Deutsche Bank they testified that there was no problem, that they made the loan and that they did their own due diligence on the regard, which any lender does. I'm telling you, anybody who's like me who owns a home knows that. You go for a mortgage loan. The mortgage lender does not just give you whatever loan based on whatever value you put on your property. They do due diligence. That's what happened. But he was accused of putting hundreds of millions of dollars of value on Mar-a-Lago, which is what it's worth. I don't want to dwell too much on that, but just that she said it was worth only $18 million, and the judge agreed. And actually, this whole trial wasn't even a trial. He already decided he was guilty because the way they came up with this $18 million was because that was the tax assessor's value of the property. But as I've mentioned in the past, I am a licensed New York, actually, real estate broker, semi-retired in Tennessee now, but I am still a New York licensed real estate broker, practiced for many years there. I know what I'm talking about. The tax assessor's value of a property is only for tax purposes, has nothing to do with what property would fetch on the market, which is what a lender would look at. And if you can't pay back the loan, then the bank has to sell the property. How much would they get for it? And that's how they decide how much they're willing to lend. So the whole thing was nonsense, and it's actually on appeal right now. And there's ridiculous, I think it was $450 million fine will be substantially reduced, but actually the whole thing should be thrown out and reversed because the whole thing is absurd. But anyhow, so he was accused, Trump, and found guilty of and punished for mortgage fraud. So now we have this story, and I mean, talk about karma. So let's go right to the story now, and then I'll have my comments. But here's the headline. Conservatives celebrate after Trump administration refers New York AG, that would be Attorney General Letitia James, for potential prosecution. Karma. Dozens of conservatives, that would include me, by the way, relished the prospect of New York's Attorney General Letitia James having to eat her own words after the Trump administration referred her for potential federal prosecution over, again, get this, alleged mortgage fraud. Critics quickly seized on James's own declaration that no one is above the law after news broke Tuesday that she had been hit with a criminal referral for allegedly committing financial fraud to secure her own favorable property loans. And exactly this what Trump was accused of. Trump blasted out the now infamous phrase, no one is above the law, when her office opted to target the Trump Organization for overinflating the values of many of its properties in a civil fraud trial that ended with a $450 million judgment. Republican lawmakers and conservative commentators were quick to boast that karma was coming for the AG, gloating that the tables have now turned. No one is above the law. U.S. Representative Elise Stefanik, a Republican of New York, blasted out on X. And that is Well, that's what I am so happy to report. Now, the mortgage fraud, what is she accused of doing? And by the way, I link to the article. I always link in the description, so you can read the whole article. Those are just quotes. But what she did was she bought a house in Virginia, got a mortgage loan, and on that loan application, she stated in writing that that home in Virginia was her principal residence, and obviously that's not true. She lives in New York. She's a New York Attorney General, and that's where she lives. And it looks like she lied on that form. But there's more. She bought another property in New York with her father, but she listed her father as her husband. So, and I think she might have bought two properties that way. I'm not sure. But anyways, you see, in Trump's case, his case is on appeal. This is the really delicious part. His case is on appeal and very likely will be thrown out, or else the fine will be substantially reduced. But as I just explained, it should be thrown out because Trump did nothing wrong, and there were no victims. Deutsche Bank was paid back with interest. They testified that they, in the court in front of Judge Engoron, that they were eager to do business with him again, that everything worked out fine. And that's what the other problem with this trial, which calls for the appeals court just reversing the whole thing, because fraud means depriving somebody of property or money, and that's the person who sues. In other words, Deutsche Bank, if they did not get paid back, they would have grounds to sue Trump because they would be the victim. But Letitia James, she's an outsider. She was not part of that. She was not the victim. She really has no standing to sue. Now, I am not a lawyer. If you want to correct me in the comments, go ahead. But that is my understanding. So the whole thing in Trump's case is ridiculous. But in Letitia James's case, now I don't want to get sued, allegedly, of what she allegedly did, but it is a fact that we have the applications, the documents that she filled out, both for the Virginia home that she claimed as her primary residence, and her the other property, claiming that her father was her husband. So the documents are there. So I'll just say, and I think it's fair to say, that she looks like she's, as I said in the title, and quoting George H.W. Bush, she's in deep doo-doo, and she's not saying very much about it when she's questioned, and it's understandable. But we'll see how this happens, how this all shakes out. But if I were she, I would say I would be on the phone right away to Pam Bondi, or just make a public offer to Trump and say, if you drop the charges against me, I'll drop the case against you. And if I were Trump, I would say, no. I would say, well, let's see how the case turns out. If it's overturned on appeal, nothing doing, and well, that's enough. I'm just enjoying this too much, and I haven't had popcorn in years, to be honest, but I may just go out and buy some, because this is really great. And that's it for today. Thanks for stopping by. If you could subscribe, that would really be great. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. Your comments always welcome in the comment section below the video. But most of all, come back and see me again. I would love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.